I'm sure most of you are aware that Thailand has now reopened to foreign tourists, and as a result, I'm hearing that there are some guys who are planning to meet their Filipina in Thailand. But before you pay for airfares, accommodation, travel insurance, and so on, be very careful. Otherwise, in the end, you may lose your money and still not get to be with your Filipina in Thailand or any other neutral foreign country where you're planning to be with each other. What I'm about to tell you is something that many couples in such a relationship don't understand. But right here, I'll tell you why some Filipinas traveling outside the Philippines are not being allowed to board her flight and are being offloaded, leaving the man stranded and alone for his romantic vacation. So, to find out what craziness is going on at Philippines immigration and what you can do about this, then be sure to buckle up and stay with me here. In recent times, I'm hearing more and more stories about foreign guys who have a master plan to be with their Filipina for the first time by going to countries like Thailand, who are now accepting foreigners on tourist visas. As the Philippines still has no firm plans to reopen to foreign tourists, these couples naturally think their plan each to fly to such countries is foolproof and easy. Well, let me tell you, it's not always the case. And in fact, some Filipinas are being refused to board their flights, even though they have a valid passport and visa, by immigration, which is leaving these women in tears and inconsolable. This time of excitement is snatched away in a heartbeat, and it leaves the Filipina bewildered and the foreign man rather angry. But when we look at this, who's really to blame here? The Philippines immigration officers, or the foreign man who failed to consider the differences around procedures when leaving the Philippines? We must understand that immigration have an important job to do around keeping their own citizens safe. So you can imagine the man has flown from his country to, let's say, Thailand in preparation to meet his Filipina girlfriend so they can finally spend some quality time together. As the Filipina goes through check-in at the airport and then proceeds to immigration, the officers start to ask her some questions. They of course want to know what the purpose of the travel is, if she's done any international travel previously, and if she has enough money to support herself for the duration of the travel. Now, if the Filipina is rather young, in her 20s, this may raise a red flag to the officers, who may then amp up their line of questioning. The Filipina may be very honest, which of course is always the best thing to do, and she may say that she's going to meet her boyfriend overseas so they can have a vacation together. They may ask her if the two of you have ever met previously, or if this is the first meeting. And this right here is where a big issue can arise as far as immigration is concerned. The Filipina may say that this is the first time meeting the man, and she may also say that they've been a couple online for the past 18 months. To immigration, this will raise further concerns around allowing a young Filipina to leave her country alone for the first time to meet a man who she's never met in person, and especially if she doesn't have enough money to cover the vacation time away. She may explain that the foreign man will be the one to pay for everything, but from immigration's point of view, how do they know that things won't end badly where she's left stranded in a foreign country? In many such instances, this is where immigration, especially at Manila International Airport, are offloading the Filipinas. Now, whilst this may seem a bit harsh, I do understand their point of view. Now, some guys will say that they're just being nasty or they're power hungry, but I don't really think so. There are things you and your Filipina can do to give her a better chance of not being offloaded at the last moment. The first thing is that of course it's best that you and the Filipina have met in person previously in the Philippines, as this will ease the officers' concern somewhat that you personally know one another. Now, of course, it would even be better if you could fly to the Philippines to then fly out of the country together as a couple on vacation. Although, even then, sometimes they can still give you both a thorough investigation. And of course, currently doing this is just not possible. What immigration may want to see is the Filipina's bank statement to show she has a good amount of money to support herself for the time she may be away. They'll want to see things like a valid passport and visa, of course, and let's not forget comprehensive travel insurance, which includes COVID-19 coverage. Proof of regular and ongoing employment will also be a bonus, as that will show them you have good reason to return home and won't overstay in the foreign country on a tourist visa when perhaps you may really be seeking to work there. I'd also suggest that the Filipina get a letter from her employer on an official letterhead saying she has a job and how long she's held it for, and the job will be waiting for her upon her return. Along the same lines is if she has a child in the Philippines, then she should take the child's birth certificate with her to show immigration if required. The reason for this is to add further weight to the fact that the Filipina has good reason to return to the Philippines, and what better way to show this than proving she has a child? Equally, if the Filipina owns land, then take the land title, which will further strengthen the Filipina's argument to be allowed to leave the country. If there's a document or proof that the boyfriend will be sponsoring the Filipina throughout this trip, then that would also add weight to allowing the Filipina to leave the country. I think you guys are starting to see now that what seemed such a simple plan at the start isn't really all that simple. If for any reason at the airport the immigration officer doesn't feel the Filipina should leave the country, then they can offload her as we've spoken about. So many foreign guys just don't understand how things work in the Philippines. They look at this from their point of view and how easy it is for them to get a passport, visa, flights, and off they go. And by the way, one must remember that your passport needs to have at least 6 months left before it expires at the time you leave your country. And you must have a return ticket or at least a forwarding ticket. Now, as I say, I've seen in recent times several foreign guys and their Filipinas get caught out trying this. Of course, some had no problems and they report having a great time together. But the bottom line is, we just don't know what will happen at the final stage of immigration for the Filipina. What I'm hearing is that Manila International Airport may be a little more thorough, let's say, and as such, where most of the offloading seems to be occurring. I'm also hearing because of this, some guys are arranging to get flights for the Filipina from Cebu direct to the country that they're meeting in. Now, a word of warning, even so, this is no guarantee that she won't be offloaded. It's just what I've heard several times. My thoughts around this are just to keep being patient a little longer until the Philippines reopens their borders to foreign tourists, and then go and have a wonderful time exploring that beautiful country together and, of course, getting to know one another at a deeper level. Doing this could save your Filipina a lot of stress and upset, and could save you money and much frustration and time consoling your Filipina to help her understand what just happened. For those of you who have taken the gamble and met up in another country, then I say well played to you. And for those thinking about taking up this option, I say think carefully and fully understand what can happen here before paying out your hard-earned money. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.